It's 3 and Out on this Friday afternoon all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Kevin, BJ, and Ben, glad you were with us here on the show, streaming live, ESPNCoastal.com. We're also live, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube as well. We've got plenty to get to here on the show with a lot of mock draft stuff going on as we count down towards the draft. Joe Tessitore, Joe T, going to join us, ESPN. He's got the top-ranked boxing fight tonight, going to have some championship bout on ESPN tomorrow evening. Miguel Burchelt and Oscar Valdez. We'll talk to you about that, talk some football with him as well coming up in hour number 2. Also, DJ Shockley going to join the show, former Georgia quarterback, SEC Network. We'll talk about quarterbacks in the draft, and we'll do the same with Russell Massey, former quarterback there at Georgia Southern, also offensive coordinator there at Savannah State. We'll just get his thoughts on some of the quarterbacks that are out there and how he looks at quarterbacks who are moving on to the next level. So he'll join us coming up in about 30 minutes here on the show. So a lot to get to on this Friday. BJ and Ben, it is Friday. I think if the weatherman is accurate, we might see that little golden orb called sunshine this weekend outside in the sky. So that will be nice to not have to worry about raincoats and umbrellas for a while. But again, plenty to get to on the show. Starting there in Tennessee, and Dylan Brooks, linebacker, Alabama, highest graded recruit in a 2021 class, signed with them in December after Jeremy Pruitt was fired, wanted his release, and a little bit later, Tennessee, almost a month later, Tennessee finally granted the release this morning, but can't transfer to another SEC school. I believe that used to be a rule in the conference, kind of the gentleman's agreement, but I, for one, BJ, thought that was one that had been tossed to the side.
Yeah, and I know ultimately that decision was changed as well, and I believe Brooks can go anywhere. But Ben, you've been talking about this for years, and I agree with what you say every time you say it. It's crazy to me that student athletes have so many hoops they have to jump through, so many kind of permission slips they have to get signed. Such a waiting period they have to go through if they, God forbid, change their mind. Coaches change their mind all the time. Josh Heupel a month ago was the head football coach at UCF. He had a situation that he felt like was better for him, and he went to Tennessee. Good for him. I think he's going to do a nice job. I think it was a good hire, but I think you have to let those who play the game have the same opportunities as those who coach the game, those who work around the game. And I understand it can be sort of difficult at first and, kind of go against what you're accustomed to if you have a player on your college football team leave. But all of us in all walks of life change our minds all the time with jobs, with relationships, with decisions, with opportunities. And it's not necessarily because we have some great level of disdain for what was a previous opportunity, but sometimes your perspective evolves. Sometimes, a new set of circumstances might come with a new kind of outlook for you. So listen, student athletes have to be able to transfer freely. I'm always frustrated when I see these stories. And I think that moving forward and in the last couple of years, we've seen kind of more, opportunities for players to move and play other places arise. But come on, man, if you sign a kid and he doesn't want to come and he's changed his mind, let him change his mind.
People are saying that Josh Heupel is already acting like a seasoned SEC coach, and that's a problem because when you talk about the toxicity among coaches, this is what people are talking about. Dylan Brooks decided to make a decision that Jeremy Pruitt is gone, so I want to move on too. I don't like the fact that he got to even ask if he want to leave. I should just say I'm leaving, and I should be able to get out of there. The thing about this is this is what Nick Saban was talking about when you talk about the transfer portal and things of this nature. When a coach has a player's future in his hands, they control that player, and you're seeing this. And the thing about it is people say, "Oh, Heupel only been on the job for a month. Who cares? He's a head coach and he's a head coach in big time college football. He knows what's up. This young man don't want to be here, and he shouldn't have to be the number one, the biggest, recruit in that draft. I mean, in that recruiting class. If I don't want to be here, I don't want to be here. Sometimes I make a decision, and all these people online saying it shouldn't be the coach, it should be the team. Get out of here with that nonsense. How many people on the same job the last year they are right now? Heupel ain't even at the same place. So I think it's a slap in the face to student athletes, period. These are 17, 18-year-olds making the decision that will not affect the next 4 years of their life. It might affect the next 40 years of their life. And you telling me because I don't want to be here, even if Jeremy Pruitt is gone, throw that out. I don't want to be here no more. I should be able to go. So I just think it just speaks to the culture of college athletics in general. You shouldn't have to be a big time recruit. You shouldn't have to be the biggest recruit. If I don't want to be here, I should be able to say, hey, I changed my mind. Forget about it. I changed my mind. And all these people talking about loyalty, all these people talking about, oh, these young people, they aren't committed like they used to be. Get out of here with that nonsense. I don't want to be in Tennessee. What if I went to UCF and I went there because of Coach Heifel? And he's gone. He ain't consult with nobody. When Francois, BJ, we always go back to this. When Francois, down there with our Florida State, when Jimbo Fisher decided to leave, he didn't call Francois. I'm telling you, the rules need to apply across the board. These coaches that sign multi-million-dollar extensions that leave within that year sometimes. Forget the next year. Nobody says a word. So I think these adults talking about these young people need to pump the brakes, because I don't blame anybody that don't want to be in Tennessee. If you don't want to be there, you should not have to stay. And the fact that the timing right now, he can't go to another SEC school, that should be a travesty. So when people talk about what should make a coach get fined, stuff like this, because you are directly affecting somebody's future because you're affecting their present. I ain't with that nonsense, man, because like I said, just because you think he should be loyal doesn't mean that these players don't owe these coaches anything. They're recruits. You're helping them push this narrative and push this brand. Well, the first brand is called Dylan. It's Dylan Jones. He's a brand of himself. So yeah, BJ, I would love to say I'm shocked, but I'm not, because if people go back to when Kirby Smart first went to Georgia and Mark Richt went to Miami, remember all those players that wanted to go to Miami? Who blocked it? Kirby Smart. So this ain't just started happening.
Well, and I mean, Kevin, Ben, football aside, even I think sometimes, and Ben, you've talked about this a ton, man. Sometimes we forget because guys are wearing helmets and shoulder pads, and we all love our favorite teams, all of us. We forget that these are 18, 19, 20-year-olds. And Kevin, I don't know, the first time you stepped on campus at Valdosta State, Ben, when you stepped on campus at Florida, if in the months that followed, in the years that followed, you ever thought, hey, man, maybe there's a better opportunity for me, or maybe this isn't quite, for whatever reason, what I thought it was going to be. I don't think there's any problem with people changing their minds. We all change our minds all the time in all walks of life, in all types of capacities. And I just think it's tough that, again, we were talking about the money the other day. In and around college sports, everybody can change the drop of a dime. If you're an analyst for one network, you can go to another network. If you're a coach for one program, you can go to another program. If you work in sports information for one school, you can go to another school. If you're a referee in one conference, you can be a referee in another conference. But if you're a player, it's like, whoa. And I that's something I struggle to understand, is if somebody's not happy, and they're not happy for whatever the reason may be. The coach isn't the coach they thought it was going to be. Maybe the coursework, their academic interests are not what they thought they would be at the time, and they have different academic interests. Maybe it's just the feel of the campus. Maybe it's they're homesick, whatever. I think players have got to be afforded the same freedoms that everybody else have.
Bob Stoops knew he was leaving Oklahoma. They still went out there and recruited. They know they was going to hire Lincoln Riley. Nobody said a word. They made sure they secured that recruiting class. Then Bob Stoops said, hey, man, I'm going to step down. We're going to hire Lincoln Riley. Nobody said a word, because the thing about it is players aren't seen the same. The product on the field is not seen the same as the one that goes out and recruits the product. But it's like I said, it's really, really troubling to me, because you're not even seen. You're just seen as a piece on the board. Dylan Brooks, hey, man, come on, man. I mean, you wanted to be a Tennessee Vol. Yeah, I mean, I thought I was going to help change the program, but Jeremy Pruitt was in my living room, and now he's gone. I got a new coach, but now I don't want to be here. So, yeah, BJ, that's how it always been, and that's how it's always going to be until, these players are free to move around how they want to, because this is what people forget about. What about the players that's told you got to leave? See, we never talk about that. Coaches will tell players you're not going to be here. A guy that picked this school, as told by the same guy who sat in his living room, you're not going to be here. So, yeah, Dylan Brooks, it does help, right, that Dylan Brooks is the top recruit. What about the guy that was just a recruit? You don't even hear his name. So it should be even across the board. I think he should get some type of special waiver so he can play in the SEC, so he can beat the brakes off them balls, because they shouldn't have did him like this.
No, I think you should be allowed to go there. But again, and again, you can treat it however you want, I guess. But there are things in businesses called non-competes where you can leave, but if you sign the contract, you're not allowed to go work for a competing business.
Yeah, but here's the difference, Kevin. When you sign a contract for a business, what are you getting?
Compensation.
You're getting paid.
Okay, and I've said that if we want to pay, do away with the scholarships and pay cash and let everybody pay their way. I have no problem with that. But again, I'm also saying you should be allowed to leave. But again, to say you can't go to another SEC school, that's not necessarily unheard of. It may not be right, but not necessarily unheard of.
No, it's not. No, it's not unheard. How it used to be is when you want to transfer, you had to give the coach a list of teams you want to transfer to, and they would pick the one you could go to. So they gotten past that. Now it's okay. So if Dylan don't want to stay, we're gonna make him wait so long to where when we do say he can leave, he can't even go to an SEC school. That should not even be allowed. I mean the nerve of Heifel. Who are you? I'm just saying this stuff is ridiculous, man.
I certainly understand that. We've got more to come. We'll talk more college football here on the show. We'll get to mock draft 2.0. We're not going to let BJ pick Trevor Lawrence this time, apparently, but we'll also look at the quarterbacks throughout the NFL draft. Russell DeMasi, Savannah State offensive coordinator, former quarterback there at Georgia Southern, will join us. Also, DJ Shockley, former Georgia quarterback, former Falcons quarterback, will join us as well. And Joe Tessitore will join us. We'll talk some college football with him, but also he's got some top-ranked boxing, a featherweight world title on the line tomorrow night. He's going to be calling with Miguel Burchelt and Oscar Valdez. He will join us and break that down for us as well. It's 3 and Out all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. It's 3 and Out all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Kevin, BJ, and Ben, glad you're with us. We'll chat some football with Russell DeMasi, offense coordinator, Savannah State, former Georgia Southern quarterback. We'll get his thoughts on these quarterbacks heading into the NFL draft coming up in just a little bit. But first, we look at the draft itself, mock draft 2.0 here on 3 and Out. And we do picks 2 through 10, BJ, here in this first run, because apparently, as Christian said, BJ is not allowed to say Trevor Lawrence to the Jags. He's just chalking it up as that's what's going to happen.
Well, no, I've been barred from, I guess picking for the Jags. I mean, I hope this means it's a foregone conclusion because I want to continue to speak this into existence. But I guess since I've been barred, does that mean I'm starting with the Jets? I mean,
I guess so, because quite frankly, if Ben or I had the first pick, Ben, if you had the first pick, who would you take for the Jaguars?
Now, hold on. Before we even get to that, I want to clarify something I said out, because if I'm wrong, I was saying that Dylan Brooks, I hope that Dylan Brooks, the highest rated recruit for the Tennessee Vols, I was saying I hope he did get a waiver. He did get a waiver, so he can go anywhere he wants. So let me make sure I clear that up first and foremost. But, DJ, at first I didn't think you should be nervous about the number 1 pick. But once again, when I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Now, this Matt Miller dude, listen, this guy is the star. He's like a young Mel Kiper. I keep seeing him. And what he says matters. Look, all I'm saying is you might want to check out that Zach, when Zach Wilson does his pro day, you might want to be looking because that number 1 pick could be in jeopardy. I'm just saying, because this is what I heard. Tell me if this makes sense. There was a person on this show that says I judge quarterbacks when they go head-to-head against other quarterbacks, right? I heard somebody say that when Trevor Lawrence went head-to-head against Joe Burrow, he got outplayed. He outplayed Justin Fields once, but the last time we saw them play, Justin Fields outplayed him. So all I'm saying is they say that Zach Wilson's numbers this year, he put up a real nice year this year. 33 touchdowns, 3 picks. I am just telling you what I heard. I'm not saying anything, but that number 1 pick could be in jeopardy. That's all I'm saying.
Will you renounce your fandom if it's not?
Because BJ, BJ, I'm going because this is the thing.
Seriously.
The thing about Justin Fields, it was lonely at the top because there was nothing to choose from. You walk up in the store had Trevor Lawrence on the top. That's all they sold. We only sell Trevor Lawrence dolls. And you go back in there again. What is this? This is Zach Wilson, dog. Man, you might want to check it out. It's not
okay. All right, just to confirm, this is what you guys want. All right, get rid of Jalen Ramsey, get rid of Calais Campbell, get rid of Marcel Darius, get rid of AJ Boye, get rid of Yannick Ngakoue. Move the team's home games to London. Draft Zach Wilson. And that's not even talking about the Doyle stuff. I mean, come on, man. Listen, I like Zach. I think he's a good prospect. But to say he's a better prospect than
what? There you go again.
Trevor, come on.
There you go again. Once again, I am just telling you said, hey man, look at what Trevor Lawrence did against Tua. You know what everybody was saying in that game now? What about Justin Ross? What about that defensive line? All I'm saying, BJ, is it's just February. Got a little while to the draft. Watch how many times you start.
But Ben, we've known for like Trevor Lawrence is a true freshman, went undefeated and won the national championship and dropped 44 on Alabama. It's like right then and there, we knew he was going to be the number 1 pick. What has changed? What has changed since then that makes us rethink this suddenly?
Because I mean, the whole thing about it is quarterbacks. You act as if quarterbacks are the only one out there on the field. Justin Ross was the best player on the field when you talk about that national championship game. You can't take away the fact that they had that defensive line, BJ. And last time I checked, Trevor Lawrence didn't even start when he first got to college. That was Kelly Bryant. It's not like he started from start.
They scored 44 points against Alabama.
Exactly. They did. I'm just giving you the facts. I'm on your side here, sir. I'm just telling you.
I like Zach Wilson a lot, but in his biggest game of the year, he played very poorly against Coastal Carolina.
I mean, could we? He's not going to play in the national. You know what they're going to say about that with Trevor Lawrence? Last time we seen Trevor Lawrence, he didn't have his best game, and he got outplayed against Joe Burrow. Those are the type of guys he's going to see. I'm just just telling you what I've been hearing. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be number 1, but I'm not Matt Miller, and you might want to be checking out some of these because these mock drafts are getting ugly. But I do think we should start at number 2.
All right. So after all that, after you guys ripped down my dreams, now
whoa. Are we ripping them, or am I telling you what I heard?
Now I'm the Jets. All right. If I'm the Jets at number 2, I'm not a full-time believer in Sam Darnold. I mean, I've seen some shades, but give me Justin Fields. I'm taking Justin Fields number 2. For a couple of years, we all drew up in our minds Trevor was going to be number 1, Justin Fields was going to be number 2. That made sense. I don't know what has changed. I don't know what we've seen to make us rethink that. I want Justin Fields at number 2.
All right, for me, I'm going to just go ahead and go with the Dolphins at number 3. It's easy for me. You got Tua. Tua needs a guy that can go out there and get open on number, be his number 2, number 1. I think I'm going to go Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is going to be my number 3 overall pick. I think he's built to beat double teams. Give me Jamar Chase at number 3.
So that brings me to what, the Falcons?
Yes.
Here. I can't see them. I mean, wow. Is it really down to do I want to take Zach Wilson or get? I'm trying to decide what Arthur Blank in his mind and the front office and those guys are going to do. Do they believe in Matt Ryan? Are they going to go? I think again, this is me. If those 2 quarterbacks are gone, I'll take Penei Sewell. That's me. Probably not what the Falcons will do, but that's what I take it for.
I think that's smart. And if I'm Cincinnati, I'm devastated by that because we are really bad at the line of scrimmage and have got to protect our guy Joe Burrow. And maybe this is a little bit of a reach, but we are good at a lot of places on this roster. We are bad along the offensive line. I'm going to take Rashawn Slater, the tackle out of Northwestern. He's a really good prospect, highly graded. I got to protect Burrow. Maybe I could get a little more value, but I'm going to go Slater and try to keep Joe Burrow healthy.
Can I reform my pick, though, and say this, that if this truly happens, that those 2 quarterbacks are out, I would advocate for the Falcons to trade backwards.
Okay.
But in this scenario, I have to make a pick, so that's what we did. But I would advocate for the Falcons to move back in that situation.
Wow. What we number 6? Wow. Okay, we got some situations going on with the Eagles right now. As you can see, Carson Wentz, Pennsylvania, has left the building. He is actually in Indy. I saw him get off the plane today because, I don't have that much of a life. And I think they're going to be in the quarterback sweepstakes. I think they're going to get back in it. I think they like Jalen Hurts. I don't think they love Jalen Hurts. And they want to keep things simple. So for me, BJ, I think because they want a quarterback and because he's been talked about, I think they're going to go Zach Wilson right here. I think they go Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson. That brings me to the Detroit Lions, sitting there at number 7. Obviously, they could use a lot of help. Cornerbacks, wide receivers. Jamar Chase is gone. Give me Devontae Smith. They're going to Detroit.
That's a good pick. That's who I was looking at, Ben. I'm experiencing what you experienced in the last mock draft, where the guy you want goes right before where you are. So I'm in an interesting spot with Carolina at 8 because you have some talented pieces. You've been clearing out cap space. Obviously, we've gotten rid of some people. I think I trust Teddy Bridgewater to be a good quarterback in the NFL, maybe not a great quarterback right now in the NFL. I'm willing to let him be a bridge guy, and I'm willing to take a guy that I can develop. So give me Trey Lance. I know he hasn't played a ton, but I want to develop a young quarterback. I'm okay with it being a multi-year kind of thing. Give me Trey Lance out of North Dakota State.
Wow, we already down to number 9. All right. Now, the thing about the Broncos, they need a cornerback.
Don't mess this up.
They need a cornerback. Here's the thing, though. It's a different Broncos. No one cares about what their defense is doing because Von Miller is going to be gone, and I just think that they're trying to justify the fact they got a guy in Drew Lock, got Noah Fant. I think he can have a sidekick. So while I like, say Caleb Fairley, give me Kyle Pitts at number 9. I think if you pair him with Noah Fant, with Jerry Jeudy, I think they can outscore guys. That way the defense won't be irrelevant. Give me Kyle Pitts at number 9.
I just made Jerry Jones very, very unhappy there with that pick. I think the last mock draft, Ben, you had the Cowboys taking Kyle Pitts there as well. You go to the Cowboys; they need a lot of help. I think If it's me, I guess you probably go for the flash if you're Jerry Jones and Patrick Surtain at corner.
Okay.
And we'll round out the top 10 with that. We still got more to go here. We'll get to the 11 through 20 coming up in hour 2, but not bad. A little bit different. And it's funny, BJ, you think, oh, what difference does one play? I mean, one player screws up the whole draft, right? I mean, if one guy goes out of sequence from what you have, the whole rest of the thing is entirely messed up. We've got more to come. Russell DeMasi, Savannah State offensive coordinator, going to join us. We'll talk quarterbacks with him when we return. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. It is 3 and Out all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Kevin, BJ, and Ben, glad you are with us here on this Friday. Talk a little draft as we did mock draft 2.0, picks 1 through 10. We'll do 11 through 20 coming up in hour number 2. But a lot of chatter about the quarterback, so we figured we'd ask a quarterback his thoughts about that as well. Former Georgia Southern quarterback, now offensive coordinator there at Savannah State, Russell DeMasi joins us. Russell, what's up, man? How are you doing?
Hey, good guys. Always appreciate you having me on and ready to talk some football, man.
Oh, sir. And again, I know in the draft we always kind of laugh about things that come up with players when it comes to the draft. That stuff that's never said. All of a sudden, it's like, well, the shoulders are a little more round, and he doesn't really get the full rotation on his throws. But what do you see when you look at the top guys at the quarterback spot in this year's draft?
You're right about that. They always look at different things, the quarterback's hand size, the Wonderlic test. There's a bunch of different things, but I think you got to put on the game tape to really, see what each one's going to do for you. And obviously, first you got to talk about Trevor Lawrence. I mean, he's been the number 1 pick in this draft since he probably was a sophomore at Cartersville. He's been, slated for this. Unfortunately, the Jets didn't get the first pick. That was a tough one to take because I thought they were definitely going to get a chance to work with him, for the foreseeable future. But it's going to end up being the Jaguars. I don't really think you can, contest that pick. But everybody's going to bring some controversy in it. And I noticed now they're talking about Zach Wilson. First it was Justin Fields and then Zach Wilson. But Trevor's the guy for sure. And then, for me, the Jets with the second pick, I just what Justin Fields has done in a year at Ohio State, really a year and 5 games, I think that kind of hurt him that he only played 5 this year, or else he would be the number 2 pick. And then Zach Wilson, obviously, is the next guy they're talking about. But I think people are forgetting about Mac Jones. He's a guy I see a lot of similarities to Peyton Manning with him. Just a guy that knows where to go with the football before the ball's even snapped. So those 4 guys are really the guys everybody's talking about, and they've earned it. You watch the tape, you watch it play. They make their team better around them, and I think that's the number 1 thing you look for in a quarterback is who makes the offense better and who makes the offense go.
And Russell, I understand your point about Justin Fields. Hey, didn't play as many games as some other quarterbacks like a Mac Jones or a Trevor Lawrence. But I'm looking at a guy that the last 2 years, 63 touchdown passes, 9 interceptions. This past year, over 70% completions. When you watch him or when scouts evaluate him on tape, what is he missing? I mean, is there anything that isn't there?
Yeah, no, I don't see what isn't there. He can make every throw. That's the number 1 thing that jumps off on tape. His arm strength is just absolutely unbelievable. You said it, 9 interceptions. That's not a lot. What do you do? What do you throw? 5 in the last 2 games as well, or 5 in the last 3 games of his college career. I mean, he's protected the football for the most part, and he was hurt. He's playing hurt, and I think that really played a lot into those interceptions. I'm not sure what they're not seeing. He's an athletic guy. He can make the big play with his feet, and that's what people want nowadays. Is a guy that when the pocket breaks down, he's gonna make something happen. And I think he's the best of that in this draft. So I don't know what's going on. He's 6'3", 220 pounds, exactly what you want as a quarterback. I'm missing it too. I don't really see it. I think he's gonna get to the next level, and I think he's gonna keep on developing and becoming a better player, and eventually he's gonna get a chance to win a championship, I think.
And Russell, when you think about this quarterback class, obviously a guy like Trevor Lawrence is going to be the cream of the crop, and then Zach Wilson is obviously getting the most hype. And then you talk about Justin Fields and Trey Lance and Mac Jones and Kyle Trask, just the quarterback position as a whole. How it's got to feel good knowing you got a lot of different guys in this draft class that has a lot of different skill sets, and it's not just one set prototypical look.
No, it's not. I mean, you look at Trevor Lawrence. He can do a little bit of both, but he's probably the most pro-ready with all of his throws that he makes and being able to throw on the run and escape the pocket. He's a really athletic guy for being so big and being so strong. Justin, like I said, he's a little bit more of an athlete back there, but the arm strength is just absolutely done. And once he, learns the whole offense and gets integrated in a system, I think he's going to be phenomenal. Looking at it, I hope looking at another, Patrick Mahomes type that is just making plays left and right. Mac Jones is the guy that just is sit in the pocket and just pick you apart. And if he gets teamed up with a wide receiver, anything like he had the wide receivers at Alabama, shoot, watch out. I mean, that might have been the best wide receiving core in the NFL last year was at Alabama. Those guys are unbelievable. And then Zach Wilson and Trey Lance. Everybody's, you brought up the point about Justin Wilson, 9 picks. I was looking at Trey Lance before this. He threw 0 interceptions. He threw 28 touchdowns and 0 interceptions in 2019, his first year as a starter. So that popped off the page in me. 2,700 yards passing and 1,100 yards rushing. I mean, he seems like a guy that could go in there and do it all as well, and do the read option and do the prototypical pass game. I'm pretty excited to see him play at the next level. But you're right. It's great to see that there's not just one fit, and I think that helps football. It just scheme becomes a little bit more important when everybody's not doing the same thing, and your scheme has got to fit the guy you choose to be back there and pulling the trigger.
Russell Demasi joining us here, offensive coordinator there at Savannah State. And I guess what you're kind of getting at there was going to be my next question. When you see people kind of hype up Zach Wilson, is like, hey, he could be the stud, man. He's got the upside. I mean, doesn't upside and he can be this, it could be that. Doesn't that basically mean he needs to go to the right situation to really perform?
No doubt. I mean, you've seen it when guys go into the wrong situations and they get thrown into the fire in the first and second year, that they get ate alive. And they're doing things they're not normally asked to do or not used to doing, and that can hurt them. The decision-making slows down, and we all know in the NFL, if you're not the fastest at the decision-making at your position, you're not going to be playing. And it can turn into bad. And when you got the football in your hands every play and you make bad decisions, boy, it's really magnified. He's one. Him and Trey are probably the guys I've seen play the least. But I did catch the whole, BYU, Coastal Carolina game, obviously. And, he just showed he's going to do something every time he gets a chance. It was unbelievable, making people miss in the pocket, taking 1 or 2 steps and then firing a laser. What I didn't see a lot in that game, which I'm going to be able to see, is Kenny sit back there in the pocket and, really, really slice and dice and get the ball to different people and, take what the defense is giving him. I really be interested to see if he can do that. Right now it's probably more of a running type game, play action, move him out of the pocket and, let him make the big play. But it'll be interesting to see if he can, sit back there and read 5 guys, go 1, 2, 3 and see if he gets the right person the ball.
I know you've been around the option a lot during your career. When you look at what we've seen from guys like Lamar Jackson, guys like Russell Wilson, guys like Josh Allen, you've seen the read option, kind of that mesh game, become a more regular part of even the NFL schemes. Do you think that Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields and Trey Lance and Zach Wilson, these are guys that can continue that trend of implementing more of kind of an option game at times at football's highest level?
Yeah, and one of the reasons why the NFL has never really been into that, scheme or that game is everybody on defense is just as fast as you are, so you make that read and then they're reacting and they're getting back, and instead in college it might be an 8-10 yard gain, and in the NFL it's 2 or 3, and 2 or 3 yards each down, and it can get you a first down. That's one of the main reasons the read option hasn't been, and now the quarterbacks are starting to evolve and add that to the game. It makes it harder on the defense when they got to defend 11 people. That 6th guy, that extra skill guy, the quarterback, in the old days was never a runner and you didn't account for him. Now, if you just drop 8 in coverage and nobody's looking at the quarterback, man, you're going to have a long day on defense with the guys they got playing now. You always got to, make one guy, spy. You hear that spy term a lot. Some people you put 2 guys on to make sure they don't beat you in the run game, and it's just great to see that 4 of these first 5 guys, they have that in their game. And I think it's only going to make the NFL more exciting when you got, more playmakers on the field rather than just a distributor. And then, that's just me and my opinion. Some people like to see the pass game and want to see it, throw it deep and, hit those play action passes. But when a quarterback can make you miss and go 60 and score, man, that's pretty exciting to watch too.
Going off of that same question, though, yeah, the read option has made its way into the NFL like we've never seen it before. But how much does a Tom Brady winning the Super Bowl by moving maybe 5 total yards in the entire game and just picking apart a defense help the cause of a guy like Kyle Trask, of a guy like Mac Jones, and say, listen, I don't have to do the crazy things with my feet every time, but you give me time, I'm going to put a pinpoint pass on you every single throw.
I mean, and that's what it used to be. And I think that it's going to be, it's for Tom Brady to do that over and over and over, 9 times, Peyton Manning's the guy I referred to, Mac Jones looking like, it just shows you there's not one way to play the game. And that's the most encouraging thing. If everybody was doing the same thing, I think it'd get pretty boring. That's why it's a game, players make the plays. And Tom Brady, they have the right system in place for him. Apparently, he was the coach on the field calling all the plays, and made the Bucs Super Bowl champs. And that's what people got to do. They got to understand what's best for their players. You can't just go in there with the scheme and just say we're going to do this no matter who we have. You're going to get beat. You're going to get beat. You got to understand what your players do well, and call those plays to build to their strengths. So no matter where Mac Jones goes, he's going to have an opportunity. Like I said, Tom Brady. I mean, there's guys all over the league that Phillip Rivers has been doing it for a while. He didn't win a Super Bowl. Eli Manning didn't move much from the pocket. He got 2. There's tons of guys that just sit in the pocket, and you just got to know. You got to know where you're going with the football, and those guys anticipate. And I'm excited to see Mac Jones. Hopefully he's the next guy that just sits back there and picks people apart. You got to figure out how to stop that.
But Russell, how much of that is just a year-by-year thing? I mean, we're a little bit over a year removed from people watching Lamar Jackson do what he did, excuse me, in the regular season, saying, "I want one of those." It's not that Tom Brady isn't. Yes, Tom Brady is the GOAT. It's not, but he just can't do some of those things. So if he didn't develop in the pocket, he wasn't going to become a great player. If some of these guys didn't develop in the pocket, and I understand that to have longevity, you're going to have to be able to sit in the pocket and be able to pick guys apart. But as you being an offensive coordinator, how much better is it for you knowing I don't got to be one-dimensional because this guy has a multiple skill set?
Hey, man, I can only answer that one way. If I had a guy one-dimensional back there that we got a championship with, I'd take that all day. I mean, you're right. It's year to year, but you just got to go with who you think is the best player. I mean, at the end of the day, it comes down to making a board who you think is the best, and then get the best player, getting that guy, and then creating a scheme for that guy. Me personally, of course, I like to have the guy that's running, moving, can make plays because I don't have to always be right. But at the end of the day, it's about wins and losses. And so the guy that's going to sit back there and make plays in the pocket is going to be the guy that's going to help us win. He's going to be the one to play, and that's what worked for the Bucs. And I wouldn't doubt that it's not the last one either with how he's been playing.
Russell Demasi joining us here, Savannah State offensive coordinator. Russell, Ben and I were there at the spring game almost a full calendar year ago when you guys were. Well, Christian was there too, and you guys finished up the spring. Little did we know that here we are in February, and you guys still haven't played another game since then. You guys are coming up in March. How excited are you to get back out there? And as a coach, how has that been to try to keep guys engaged and keep the program, moving forward when you haven't been able to get out there and really, have a game to prepare for in a calendar year, basically?
Yeah, that's the most difficult part. It's usually used to practicing and getting the game at the end of the week, getting that reward, getting that time to go out and show everybody what you've been doing, because nobody's out there at practice. You're working all week to get that time to show out on Saturday. And, the guys don't have that. They haven't had that, like you said, a year, and that was a spring game. So a year and a half, 6 months before that, or 4 months before that, we played our last game against Edward Waters. The guys have been itching to get back at it, and it's tough, but we got to give credit to them. I mean, they've come work day in, day out, and we talked to them about getting better, and whenever that opportunity comes next, being ready for it. And I think they've done a great job, but it's definitely tough, and we're looking forward to it. We've got two coming up here in March, and we're really excited. 13th of March over in Mobile, Alabama. It's going to be our first one, and we're really excited to go over there and compete. And I think it's just a great reward for our guys, and I can't wait to see them fly around and get to hit somebody else, some other color, man. It feels like we've had our defense coming at us for a long time. I'm ready to go and get somebody else, because those guys get after it, and they make us better each day. But again, all credit goes to the kids. Just focusing on the day, getting better at what we can do, weights, the classroom, whether practice, everything. And then they've just been doing a great job, and all credit to them.
We'd be excited to give somebody else some headaches for a change there at Savannah State. Russell, man, we appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
Yep, thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.
Will do. Russell Demasi joining us here on a 3 and Out, offensive coordinator there at Savannah State. We'll come back with more 3 and Out all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. It's 3 and out.
I don't know anything about
All
the Knicks,
across
man. I
the
don't know what
Southern
you want me to tell
Pigskin
you.
Radio Network.
Like, you went to me for a Knicks question?
I did. Sorry. We'll never do it again.
I don't know what to tell you,
That-
man. Like, I'm just, my mind's everywhere. I'm heartbroken.
It's fine. BJ, Ben Christian is all upset, so you may have to console him here on the show.
Kimye is over, y'all. Like, I just don't know how to emotionally handle this. We're not even a week removed from Valentine's Day, and Kim Kardashian has officially filed for divorce with Kanye West. Like, I don't know how to emotionally process this right now, but I'll be over here if you guys need me.
I mean, before we move on, what? I mean, and this is not a shot. What about Kim Kardashian's past will make you think her and Kanye West were going to be married?
I like to be an optimist. I like to think that things are going to work out and they're going to live happily ever after. I mean,
so they say that future behavior can be, directly attached to past behavior. So you thought that Kanye West was going to change Kim Kardashian, and they were
he believed in true love.
I wanted the best for Ye. And
I do think about what 10, 15 years that reality TV show of the Kardashians and the Westons and the Thompsons and the Scotts. Oh, it's gonna be serious, But outside of that, I'm surprised they made it. Shout out to Kanye, man. I mean, Kanye started doing Christian now. He started doing gospel music when he got Kim Kardashian. So that turned out well. But he realized, I got to go back to being me. So Kim, 3 babies, they famous for life.
Ben or BJ, name 3 Kardashians.
I have no idea.
Completely
Great
failed the
effort.
5-second game.
Great effort.
Is the TV show still on?
It is going strong.
It's about to come to an end, though. 3.
Kimye over like this segment.
We'll come back. Take 3 around the corner. Joe Tessitore next hour as well. 3 and out. Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Welcome back, 3 and Out, here on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Kevin, BJ, and Ben, glad you're with us. We're streaming live, ESPNCoastal.com, also on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. You can find us streaming live here as well. Plenty to get to in hour number 2. Joe Tessitore, ESPN, will join us. We'll talk some college football with him. Also talk a little boxing. He's got a title fight coming up tomorrow night on ESPN. Miguel Burchelt and Oscar Valdez, featherweight world title. So Joe T in Vegas. Getting ready for a big fight there as well. So we'll get to that mock draft 2.0. We'll go 11 through 20. Of course, Ben drafted a Gator in the first round with Kyle Pitts, to no surprise in the top 10 there. So we'll get to the second grouping of 10. And who knows? Maybe Kyle Trask will magically come off the board, BJ, in picks 11 through 20.
Y'all in my scouting department.
I mean, Kyle Trask. It's going to be Evan McPherson, Florida's kicker. He's going to go late first round.
Listen. You weren't saying that was Sebastian Jonikowski went first round Florida State. I'm just saying.
That's your guy.
Oh, I like. Yeah. I mean, had a Lambo. Hey man, I like Seabass.
There you go. That being said, let's take 3 here on 3 and Out. All right, take one, fellas. Who won the Carson Wentz trade?
For me, I think it's the Colts. I know there's a chance if certain milestones are met that would basically ensure that the Colts have had great success, that you could give up a first-round pick. But barring that, you were able to get a proven starting quarterback without giving up a first-round pick. I mean, look at what the Detroit Lions gave up for Jared Goff. I mean, I think it normally costs a lot, whether it's in draft capital, whether it's in another player or two, or signing a contract outright to get a quarterback that's done anything in the NFL. And I will be the first to say Carson Wentz did not have a good year last year, and I don't think Carson Wentz is a great quarterback. I think he's a good quarterback. You know, I like statistical frames of reference. Matt Ryan's career quarterback rating is 94.5. Carson Wentz's is 89.2. So he's at least kind of in that ballpark. He's good. He's not great. He's good. And he's got injury concerns, but I look at it like this. If you were the Colts and Phillip Rivers obviously retires, your options were limited. You could, I'm trying to see where they were. Let me look on my sheet. You could have stayed where you were in the draft with the Colts at 21 and tried to draft a quarterback. That probably wasn't going to go well. You could have tried to move up into the top 10. That's going to cost a lot. Or you could have tried to get weird on the free agent market and sign somebody that's been a backup or a part-time starter. I don't know, maybe a Jameis Winston. So your options were pretty limited. You got a guy that's been a Pro Bowler, a guy that has a winning record as a starter, a guy that has at least been on a contending team. I know he didn't win the Super Bowl, but a guy that has been on the big stage, and you were able to do that without giving up a first-round pick unless certain conditions are met. And to me, if those conditions are met, it means you had a very good season, and the first-round pick you would be giving up would not be like a top 10 pick. It would mean you're giving up 27, 28, or 29 or something like that. So given what it costs to get a quarterback that's done anything in this league, I think the Colts won the trade.
I would go with the Philadelphia Eagles, and this is why. The thing about Carson Wentz is Carson Wentz don't seem to be a guy that likes a lot of criticism. Carson Wentz is a guy that we've been talking about his potential, BJ, since he's been drafted second overall in the 2016 draft, and Carson Wentz got traded after signing the $100 million deal. He's only 2 years in to a multi-year deal. I think the Philadelphia Eagles won because I think they looked at it and said, look, I think we've got the best out of this guy. Yes, people are going to talk about the year he had when he was having an MVP caliber season and he got hurt. He hasn't been the same player since he got hurt. Look how bad this division was, and they still didn't win the division with Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts, a guy who got drafted in the second round, end up playing over him. They didn't necessarily play better than him. And the thing about it is this. If Carson Wentz was so great, he would not have gotten traded. Like, think about that. I don't give a quarterback a franchise deal and then trade him, even if I do get a new coach. So, for me, I think it's going to be the Philadelphia Eagles because they're looking at their locker room. One guy isn't worth the team. One guy isn't worth the culture. One guy isn't worth the locker room. Carson Wentz don't like the fact that there is a statue outside of the Philadelphia Eagles Stadium, and it's Nick Foles, not him. Carson Wentz don't like the fact that he had to compete for his job 1 year into a multi-year deal. So when you got a guy that doesn't like competition, doesn't like getting criticized, and don't like the fact that he ain't getting all the praise, you get him out of there. So I think it's the Philadelphia Eagles, no matter what he does in Indy, because I just think that when you start talking about players started feeling entitled for a simple, you were the second overall pick. Guess what? The guy that went number one, he got traded. You talk about BJ, a guy in Jared Goff who got traded. When's the last time the number one and the number two overall pick in the draft got traded after they got their new deals? That says more about, them as a player. So for me, it's going to be the Philadelphia Eagles. We won and lost with you. We can definitely do it without you. I think it's going to be the Eagles.
All right, moving along. Take two. Matt Tabik has the Falcons trading back in the first round and grabbing Patrick Surtain. Would that be a win for Atlanta? That will be DB with the number one pick, the first round pick, I should say, 2 years in a row.
I think it would be. I like Patrick Surtain a lot. I think he kind of fits the mold when you talk about a number one cover corner. Some people thought that the value was not there with the A.J. Terrell pick last year and that Terrell wasn't necessarily the prototype in some regards. Surtain is. And not only is he a legacy player, who grew up around the NFL and kind of knows the secrets of the trade, he's big, he's strong, he's long, he's physical. He largely dominated in the SEC. Everybody's going to have a bad game where the tape doesn't look great, but I think he's a really impressive player, and it addresses a position of need. I understand your point, Ben, that maybe singularly Patrick Surtain is not enough to make the Falcons, win 3 or 4 games just by himself, but I do think he makes the product defensively better. Right now, you do not have a number one corner. I don't think Terrell has played to that level yet. Maybe he can. I think Surtain, at least in theory, would answer a major question you have on your defense, and I think that makes Atlanta better in 2021 and beyond.
I don't like the pick for this reason. It's not that Patrick Surtain isn't a good player, BJ. Think about it. You're saying that A.J. Terrell is not the number one corner, but they drafted him number one last year to be the number one corner. So now you're saying I'm going to go with another corner to be the number one corner. It's not Patrick Surtain. A corner is only as good as his front four. So when you think about the Atlanta Falcons, okay, you get Patrick Surtain Jr., you get Deion Sanders Jr., you get Antoine Winfield Jr. They're going to have to cover a long time because you don't have a pass rush. I'm going to go back to your Jaguars for a second. The thing about it is they had Boyer on one side. They had Ramsey on the other side. They had Calais Campbell. They had Unique Ndakwe. They had guys coming off that. So they putting pressure on them quarterbacks. So now my elite cornerback status can only show if I don't have to cover for 5 seconds. So for me, I like Patrick Surtain. But think about this. We know who A.J. Terrell is because we have to cover the Falcons. How many people know who A.J. Terrell is? They're going to be snapping their fingers. In Atlanta, like, what? A.J. Terrell? Oh, that's the guy that's that reliever the Braves just got. No, he's the number one pick. So for me, it's not Patrick Surtain. It's the fact that he's going to a defense, BJ, that your best player might have to be him, a rookie. That's not going to be a good day for him. So I'm going to say no because of the guys around him.
All right, moving along. Take 3. SoCon kicks off this weekend. How much SoCon football are you consuming this weekend, BJ and Ben?
Yeah, I'm ready. It's going to be on ESPN Plus, and you originally had 4 games scheduled. 3 of them going to go. I think Chattanooga VMI has been postponed, but Mercer here in our state taking on Wofford. Wofford, really high expectations. That's going to be a tough test for the Bears. Sanford and ETSU. You got your guy Chris Hatcher. Kev, we just had Randy Sanders on. Those are 2 teams with high expectations. Western Carolina and Furman. Furman is a traditional power. They're going to be really good again this year. Look, man, it's great college football. The SoCon is Division I football, a great history as a league. These programs have competed for championships. They've put guys in the NFL. You have a lot of local players on some of these rosters, which is cool too. When you think about Mercer and Furman and Wofford, I believe you might have a 912 prospect or product, I should say, with ETSU as well. So a lot of local guys. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fun. Some great players. I know Christian wrote a piece on some of the top quarterbacks in the league. You got Reese Yadinsky. Won't see him this weekend, but the VMI quarterback's about as productive as anybody we've seen in the country. I know Mercer's got a couple of guys they like. So I'm ready. It's a Saturday. It's college football. It's names we know. Let's get after it.
I'm looking forward to watching the BJ because They've waited it out. Like when you talk about patience in football, those two things don't usually go together. And when you mix that with young energy, being student athletes who had to watch everybody else play in the fall, and that's what I'm looking forward to the most. I think the SoCon is going to take advantage of this moment. I kind of go back to NASCAR when they led the way as far like sports. They took advantage of it. Yes, it was controversy, but they took advantage of it. And look how many fans they gained. Look how many people took an interest to a sport that they probably didn't have a big interest if it's surrounded with everything else. SoCon is going to be the only thing on TV, BJ, and it's not that they're gonna get to go out there and showcase what they do. I am looking forward to them. I'm proud of these players. I'm proud of these coaches. I'm proud of these equipment staffs and training staffs because you're telling a 18 to 24-year-old, hey, just wait. I know. Just wait. We're gonna have it. We're gonna have it. I think they're gonna do a great job, and I do agree. I don't separate college football. P5, G5, FC. I don't separate it. It's football. You're going to have 11 on 11. You're going to have kickoff returns, punt returns, field goal blocks, special teams, offense, defense. I'm looking forward to seeing those guys go out there and do it. And plus, they've earned this moment. To wait as long as they have, somebody going to get their head rocked on Saturday, and I'm looking forward to it.
Now, it's been pent up for months.
Oh, yeah.
Got to let it go. BJ, your game of the week then would be what? If you could only you're going to consume it all, you said, but just what if you had the big one that you can't miss is what?
Yeah, I think that ETSU Sanford game is interesting because you have programs that were kind of picked close in terms of some of the preseason expectations. Two coaches that have been around the game a long time that have had a lot of success. Programs that have been in the playoffs in recent years. I mean, wasn't that long ago? Sanford was beaten. I mean, Sanford was up like 38-10 on Florida State in the third quarter with Devlin Hodges. And then you think about ETSU not long ago, not even having football, and then coming back and winning a league title and getting in the postseason. So I think keep an eye on that Sanford ETSU game, the winner there, positioning themselves as an early contender.
Them Furman boys going to have something to say about that. Them boys picked preseason to win that thing. The Western Carolina boys better get ready. They better be strapped up. But them it's all about the expectation. But I think all of them going to be good. But watch out for them Furman boys.
There you go. That's take 3. We do it each and every day. At this time, we'll come back. We'll mock draft 2.0, picks 11 through 20. Might there be another Florida Gator off the board? I mean, the odds would seem pretty good, BJ. Given who's picking, we'll do that. Joe Tessitore going to join us in about 20 minutes. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. It's 3 and out all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Kevin, BJ, and Ben. Glad you're with us here on this Friday. We work in mock draft 2.0 here, fellas, as we worked our way through the first 10 picks. Only one Florida Gator off the board, BJ. So that's still going for us here as we do picks 11 through 20. And we're going to see how many we can squeeze in the first round. You are at pick number 11. With the New York Giants, boy, that the football Giants.
Yeah,
Giants are in San Francisco now.
That's how we know that you're serious. So
we need wide receiver help really bad, and Jamar Chase obviously off the board, Devonta Smith off the board, but surprisingly, Jalen Waddle's still there. So this is a no-brainer. We have got to get some more weapons for our young quarterback, who we may or may not believe in. But I am going to take Jalen Waddle. This is an obvious A+ home run pick. Get some speed out there on the perimeter.
Okay, all right. Jalen Waddle. I mean, Kevin keep talking about another Florida Gator may be coming off. No, I'm just playing. No, the thing about the 49ers is this. I mean, you talk about a defense, BJ, that when they're at their best, they just get at guys. You can't that offense. They can't even move the football when you look. And I know Bosa is coming off a season-ending injury. Bosa's going to be back. What if you get another young guy on the other side? Give him Mr. Gregory Rousseau coming out of the U. I mean, you got two young bookends, both of them. So give me Gregory Rousseau, Miami.
6'7", coming off the edge. There, that leaves me with the Chargers. Obviously, want to protect your young quarterback. You're going to need some offensive line help in a big way. Give me Christian Darrisaw for the Chargers there out of Virginia Tech, to come solidify that offensive line there for I almost said San Diego Chargers, the LA Chargers at number 13.
There are a couple of guys on the board here, but I feel partially obligated because it would just be awesome for Christian. We got to go with the back-to-back Christian picks. In honor of our producer, Christian, we're following up Christian Darrisaw with Christian Barmore, the defensive tackle at Alabama. Minnesota traditionally is good up front. Good in the trenches, good at the line of scrimmage. We're going to get that young 6'5", 310-pound interior pass rusher out of Alabama.
BJ, I was telling you did yourself a disservice as a Jags fan, because through a lot of the first few mock drafts, Barmore was like late 20s, like 30s kind of a pick, and you have hyped him up so much that he's just flying up draft boards. I saw him go as early as 12 in some of these mock drafts, but I was surprised Kevin didn't take him, because the Chargers are going to need some help on the defensive line as well. But, I mean, hey, back-to-back Christian picks. I'm here for it.
Well, a lot of people don't realize the singular direct impact both myself and Cody have on the draft, and kind of how we influence a lot of executives' minds. So
I might be like bordering on breaking a trust here with Cody, but there's a girl Cody's talking to, and he literally did a mock draft while flirting with her, like for her. She was like, "Will you do a mock draft for me?" Yeah, I'll do a mock draft for you. Did you skew your picks towards her favorite college football team, Cody? Yeah, it's like nothing but Bama players in the first round.
I'm just saying, the 15th pick, with the Patriots, they don't have a quarterback. And
excellent, Ben.
they do need a quarterback, right? They do need a quarterback. I know of a quarterback. So with the 15th overall pick, the New England Patriots select Mac Jones, Alabama. I'm gonna go with Mac.
Welcome to dating in 2021, Kevin. Will you do a mock draft for me?
No,
I'm not sure that's dating in 2021. I think that's dating with Cody.
And that's the new podcast. Welcome to Dating with Cody, to where anything that can happen will happen.
That'd be a great thing to put like on your Tinder or your Bumble. Is I don't want to know like what your
mock
is.
Draft.
I don't know what your favorite restaurant is. I don't care if
you that's the new pickup line. Excuse me. Yeah. Who did you pick with the 15th pick?
Yeah, I have insight here on
like, you got to be kidding me. The Falcons don't need another tackle. They're going to trade back, not drafting Sewell. Swipe left.
Yeah, I think that I have an exclusive look at Cody's profile. It says, long walks on the beach, great music. Who are the Broncos taking at 9? That's what it says right there. I mean, if you don't have a good answer to that,
the guy.
Yeah, if you don't have a good answer to that, you're out. Not going forward. So that comes to me at 16, Arizona. Boy, they need a lot. Corners.
Well, this is interesting because they're only a couple pieces away from being a playoff contender.
And I feel like running back would be a nice pickup. but I'm going to say true to me. I'm going to say true to me and say, hey, I think I can get running backs later in the draft. I'm going to go Caleb Farley. Give me some help on the defense. And hey, I believe my offense will come around, but I got to stop somebody. Give me Caleb Farley, cornerback there out of Virginia
He might
Tech.
be the best corner in the draft. I'm putting that out there. He might be the best corner in the draft.
He was still available, so I took him. Says the Raiders for BJ.
I was going to say Ben's Raiders here, and a lot of defensive talent on the board. We need help, a lot of spots, but we're the Raiders, man. We like athletes. We like dudes who are freaks of nature, who are going to destroy the combine, then come out on the field and just be unstoppable. I got to go with Micah Parsons out of Penn State. How is he still on the board? This guy's got a top 5, top 10 grade. He's coming to Vegas. Great pick. We feel good about it. I feel good about it. Don't care what y'all think. Micah Parsons to the Raiders.
Dan, I was going to ask, how are the Raiders even going to draft this year without the combine? Are they going to be okay by like not taking the fastest guy in the 40?
Yeah, it's gonna be rough, man. I mean, I just think that at the end of the day, Christian, they're gonna have to trust their scouting department. That's not something that the Raiders typically do well. They pay them to do it and then say, all right, guys, when the draft comes, you guys get out of here. All right, them Dolphins, man. BJ, Kevin. I think the Dolphins are going to go offense because I think they're trying to give Tua all the weapons around him they possibly can. Now, BJ, the thing about what does a young quarterback need to kind of keep the rhythm going? He needs a running game. He's a running back. There are two guys out there. So for me, while I like Najee, there's a certain young man from Clemson that can flat out do it all. So for me, the 18th overall pick, give me Travis Etienne, running back out of Clemson.
Woo! Tua and Travis.
I'm just saying. I mean,
all right, that leaves me with the football team. Coming up, it was kind of funny. I was like, I have my list of like draft needs by team and put out in front of me. I was like, should I list, if I go alphabetical order by mascot, are they football team or do I just put them as Washington? Like, how do you do that? But here we go. They need a lot, right? There's a lot of stuff. I think with the quarterbacks that are left, I think that'd be a little bit of a reach here. I'm going to go wide receiver because I believe nope, he is gone. I'm sorry. I was double checking to see Jalen Waddle is gone. I didn't remember his name getting called, but he was taken off the board.
He's so fast, Kevin. He's so fast. You don't even remember him being drafted.
What people want to say is like, I'm trying to keep up with the big board to see who's gone. And I have it all laid out. So I make sure that if somebody does make a duplicate pick and here I am trying to do it, that, I can come back and say, not so fast. So here, they have so much. Boy, they need offensive line. Give me Trey Smith out of Tennessee. I think he'll work his way up there.
whoa.
I think that would be a guy that, played the 4 years at SEC on the offensive line. Should be more than seasoned to come in and play on the offensive front for Washington.
Okay.
And I'm going to step away from my GM position with what team am I with now? With the Chicago Bears to say this. Excellent pick. I've seen a lot of mock drafts that have Trey Smith going in the 3rd round, and I'm sitting here going, have you watched football? He's 6'6", 315. He can play guard or tackle. He's been a dude in the SEC for 4 years. Yeah, I'm all about Trey Smith. I'm similar to Washington in that I could use a quarterback, but I'm not ready to go full Ben on it and take Kyle Trask yet. So what else can you do when your passing game is struggling? Get wide receiver help. I don't know what's going to happen with Allen Robinson. There's a Gator I like here, but there's a couple different guys I like. I'm going to go with the guy who has played in cold weather. It's different when you're playing in 14 degrees. Give me Rashad Bateman out of Minnesota.
He special teams. Right.
Give me Rashad Bateman out of Minnesota.
So that gets us all the way picks 11 through 20. Kyle Trask is still out there. We'll have the final 21 through 32 coming up in the final hours. Our mock draft 2.0 comes your way. We'll come back. Joe Tessitore, ESPN, set to join us on the flip side. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network.
last number of years, it's been Alabama, it's been Clemson, it's been Ohio State, it's been Oklahoma. In our state, the Georgia Bulldogs return a lot of talent. Can Georgia be one of those leading national title contenders in 2021?
Of course they can, because it's the reason why we get the repeat of those three teams you named, and why so many people get so frustrated with the college football playoff of saying, Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State, and filling the fourth, is simply because of recruiting. Recruiting only allows for the same group of about 10 elite premier programs to even be in the mix. I expect Georgia to actually be the front runners to win the SEC East this year. And I think with that defense and with the development of the young talent, they probably will be, because Florida, as much as they had a very good year last year, is losing a lot of elite talent. Their recruiting was not as good as Georgia in the past 2 years. So the younger talent should bubble up with Georgia this year. But obviously, that no matter how much we talk about what Alabama has lost, it's simply a stage of reloading. And they just put together another recruiting class that trumps everybody. Listen, the SEC is what it is. Every week you go out and you can get punched in the face and you can stumble. But I would expect Georgia to have, a very strong season coming up, and for the SEC to once again already be locking in one of those four spots and potentially getting two of them.
Joe Tessitore joining us here on 3 and Out. How much do you think that is good for college football? As you said, we're here in February, and you're talking about 8 teams, and that's pretty much it. And you go all around the country doing football. I mean, do other fan bases kind of feel that? It's like, we really don't have a chance, but we're here anyway.
Yeah, very much so. And like I said, it's what the product on the field and what we get week in and week out in college football is the most glorious regular season you're going to have. But until recruiting is regulated in a certain way and certain things within recruiting are curbed, this is the reality of sport. Imagine if I told everybody that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to have 5 of the first 10 draft picks in the draft every year with the foundation of what they already have. Then they're going to have the first couple of choices in free agency every year. Well, that's basically what Alabama has. And then you go down the list and there's more and more of that just, in mitigating quantities. But until recruiting is curbed, the reality is this is the college football you're going to know.
Now, Joe, look, I know, look, you do a lot. I mean, obviously you very, very talented at what you do, but it's okay. I mean, you sat right beside, Jason Witten and Booker McFarland had this crazy looking thing. I mean, how weird is it dealing with these, those former players back in the day?
Well, I love all the former athletes that I work with as analysts. And I'll tell you right now, and I invite you to tune in tomorrow night. I'm so blessed in boxing to be alongside Andre Ward, the former light heavyweight champion, super middleweight champion, and Tim Bradley, who, was a champion at 140 pounds and 147 pounds, beat Marquez, Pacquiao. I think in all the sports I do, I've been so blessed to work with so many great ones. Obviously, in doing college football right now, I'm with Greg McElroy, former national title winning quarterback. But the 2 guys tomorrow that I work with consistently ringside on Top Rank Boxing, it is a dynamic combination because Dre is very cerebral, very analytical, and Tim is an outlandish, strongly opinionated character. So I think they're a perfect fit for this fight we're going to get on ESPN tomorrow night.
Well, and you've called some incredible moments. You've worked with some incredible personalities. Take us back to what was one of the very special moments of the 2020 college football season when you got a chance calling a national game of Boston College and Clemson to call your son for the Eagles, be part of a trick play. I mean, I believe we have the audio here.
So Aaron Boumeri on for the 40-yard field goal attempt. As they split out, Danny Jones with fake. Tessitore is under center. 4-2, and he got him to come off sides.
That's beautiful.
John Tessitore came up and played quarterback at the last second, and they may get a first down out of this. How about that on 4th and 2?
What an amazing, almost surreal moment.
Yeah, Coach Jeff Hapley nearly sent me out of the broadcast booth with shock. It was a lot of fun. Listen, guys, I simply appreciate that a lot of people enjoyed the moment shared with a father and son. That's what really warmed my heart, is that so many thousands and thousands of people took to it on social media, on ESPN, of saying, wow, when are we ever going to see that? It was sincere. It was authentic. My son has worked. It's like, so I don't care what level of college athlete you are and what sport you take part in or how little you play. If you are playing at that level, you have dedicated endless hours of your life since you were a child just to get to that point. So to be there on ABC and to be playing the number one team in the country and to be driving the ball up 11 points in the midst of this stunning brewing upset, and for my son to shockingly pull off that fake field goal and draw them offside, and then they score a touchdown the next play. I don't know that I'll ever forget that. I'm sure I'll never experience it, although he does have another year of eligibility next year, so he'll be on the field again next year. But it was very, very special. And in a strange and fitting way, I coached him. I coached special teams for 4 years when he played prep ball. And we had so many endless hours in the spring of 2020 while he was home on quarantine of freezing our butts off out on a field because he couldn't practice with anybody else, of underhand snapping to him, punt after punt after punt, of watching him go through all his mechanics and techniques. So just to have that one single moment against the number one team in the country shared on national TV between father and son, we are forever grateful to have had that.
Oh, certainly a great special moment there for you in broadcasting. Joe, again, tomorrow night, tell folks when it all starts. Miguel Perchelt v. Oscar Valdez. Where are they going to find it? What time on ESPN?
Yeah, listen, we're going to come on the air on the app, on ESPN2 and right on the app. We're going to come on the air real early in the day at 7 o'clock Eastern with all these great undefeated prospects. And then at 10 o'clock Eastern, right after the Duke UVA basketball game, we're going to be on ESPN with the 20-year-old sensation, great Gabe Flores from California, who's undefeated. And then as soon as he's done, we're going to have this championship battle between Burchelt and Valdez. Folks, I don't care if you don't watch boxing. Give yourself 45 minutes Saturday night on ESPN, because this thing is going to be toe-to-toe, can't miss. Everybody expects it to be the fight of the year.
Yeah, sounds like my kind of fight, just throwing punches and see who's left standing. Joe Tessitore, our guest here on 3 and Out. You'll catch him on the call. Burchelt v. Valdez tomorrow night, as you heard him there on ESPN. Joe, we appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
Guys, really nice conversation. Thank you so much for inviting me on, and please stay blessed and stay safe to everybody listening down there in Low Country. I love that part of the country.
Hey, we appreciate it so much. Thank you, Joe. You do the same, and we'll be watching Saturday night.
Be well.
Joe Tessitore, our guest here on 3 and Out. We'll come back with more all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. It's 3 and Out all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Kevin, BJ, and Ben. Glad you are with us. DJ Shockley going to join us coming up in the final hour of the program. I'll talk some quarterbacks with the former Falcons quarterback as well. But good to chat with Joe Tessitore there. Joe T. I know, Ben, you're a big boxing fan. So I know you were excited when Chris said, hey, we're going to talk a little bit of boxing on the show. Ben was like, really? Yes? Awesome. A little bit, yeah. You are big in the fight scene. Like you like watching the boxing.
I do. I mean, I'm not one of those people. I'm not going to do the whole Brandon Marshall thing and be calling out Deontay Wilder, the former heavyweight champion of the world, saying, "Oh yeah, I think I can go out there and make it happen." But yeah, I mean, the Keith Thurman's up
there and make it happen.
The Keith BJ, don't what you squint your face up. This is documented. Brandon Marshall called out Deontay Wilder, the Bronx Bomber. By the not the Bronx Bomber. I'm saying it the wrong way. He's from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. He called him out. But yeah, I always love some boxing, man. Adrian Brown, those guys. I mean, Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman. I mean, you got some guys that can flat out, get it done. So yeah, whenever we get a chance to talk a little boxing, BJ. No, I don't think I'm the truth. My head is too big and my face is even bigger. So I couldn't get out of the way of the punches, even if I can, bob and weave. Go ahead, BJ.
I don't know anything about boxing.
Would you step in the squared circle, Ben, and trade blows? Or are you just a fan?
Oh yeah, I'll get in. Now hold on. Not with somebody that can really hurt me. No, not with a real boxer. But like,
no. Can we see that in stipulations? Hey, I want the title fight unless it's against somebody that could really hurt me. I think that's the mindset they all go for, right?
Well, being true promotions. I mean, the goal is to make it out the same way you walk in there. I don't want to look at the ceiling. I don't want to be looking because once again, look at the two people I'm on the show with. And BJ's going, oh. And then I got to come back on here looking like this, like, yeah, man, well, I mean, no. Like, BJ, have you
All right. So what do you think is worse? Catching one across the jaw or catching one straight to the face or getting, I don't know, let's just theoretically throw out an example, like maybe getting decleated and blindsided against Kentucky on a special teams play.
Have you ever been punched in the face, either one of you, period?
Yes, I have been punched in the face and my jaw is not made of glass. I will say this, though. If you've ever had a busted lip from a punch, it can swell up like the Nutty Professor. Your lip is like way out here, and you sitting in the meeting room, and coach like, all right, fellas, what the hell did you do this weekend? it's just out here like this. So yes, BJ, when I got knocked out, it's because I was on my way for being special teams player of the year that year, and then they game planned me.
Yeah, 100% game plan. Ben, I would no. You said you wouldn't do it because if we were on the show, I would have nothing but mad respect if you went.
This is the thing, though. This is the thing about boxing. Just because I can move a little bit, he gonna hit me in my side. This is like, bam. I mean, it's like this. When I get hit, Kevin, that's it. And then look.
Kevin, all that Joe T has to look for the fight is look tomorrow night when the pap happens, it's over.
Hold on. I mean, Kevin, BJ, you and Kevin should do the pap. Y'all should get in there, dude. Y'all should do like a little boxing match.
I'll be the hype man in the corner, like wiping your face off. It's like, Ben, you got to move.
No, here it is.
Why aren't you doing it?
You think I got a shot? And Kevin, you looking at go, hell no.
Trying to pump him up. Corner man. I'll be the corner man. Ben, move away from the jab. Final hour.
I'm like, hey, Kevin, how am I doing? You better go back to radio.
What is up? Glad to have you back here for hour 3 of 3 and Out on a Friday afternoon. Hope you're doing well. BJ Bennett here with you alongside Ben Troop, Kevin Thomas, and Christian Gokel stepping away a little early this afternoon for some high school basketball action coming up in our Savannah market. We'll have high school basketball right after the show coming up in just a bit. But Ben, college football this weekend. We've been talking about it all week. FCS football going to be on display in various parts around the country, and more teams will get started next week. But you have the Southern Conference with some of the teams we've mentioned. Mercer right here in our state going to play Sanford in a big game. Dion, primetime, took over Jacksonville State. Now we get to see it. Jackson State going to play on Sunday, a bit of a showcase there. So it's great to have college football here in the spring. Obviously, unfortunate circumstances, but these student athletes, these coaches have been very diligent. They've worked very hard, and an opportunity to get out there and play some football. We chatted with Russell Lamasi in hour 1. Savannah State will obviously play a game next month. So excited for the opportunities that these student athletes, these programs, these teams have. And yes, SoCon football right here in the Deep South. College football tomorrow across the country.
Yeah, BJ, I'm looking forward to it. I do think that Deion Sanders, BJ, everybody's going to be watching him. I mean, when you look at the fact that he's a head coach, he picked Jackson State for a reason. Everybody's trying to see like what type of program are they going to have. Was able to snatch some big time recruits away during the recruiting process. A really, really good recruiting class. Both of his sons, one Shadur and Shiloh. His son Shadur, obviously coming from South Carolina, spent 1 year there, now transferred to Jackson State. Got his youngest son, who was committed to if I can believe FAU, decided to go on with his dad. I think it's going to be great for him, but he knows that everybody's watching. If you know Deion Sanders, if you know Prime, he doesn't lack confidence, he doesn't lack swag, but the difference is he can't go out there and do it. He got to go out there and see how those guys can do. I'm looking forward to it, and I do think that just having football, I know that when you talk about being able to have a season like this, like something we've never seen before, I'm rooting for everybody involved, because when you take away something, you take away your livelihood and why you was able to continue your athletic career in college, and you had to be patient. I think it's going to bode for some really, really good football. But yeah, all eyes will be on Jackson State come Sunday, BJ, because them boys from Alcorn State, them boys, they don't play them on Sunday, but they're going to be watching to see what old Prime doing at Jackson State.
Yeah, a lot of people are going to be watching, and Jackson State going to take on Edward Waters out of the Jacksonville area, I believe. Ben, what's your feel for kind of the expectations? Because the talent is there. Deion's got a great coaching staff. Obviously, he's coached beyond just his Hall of Fame playing career. I mean, Sunday afternoon, 2:00. Jackson State against Edward Waters, and then, as you mentioned, maybe some of the other rivalry games later in the year. Kind of, what are your expectations?
From what I've seen, even though obviously I've seen follow Prime a lot, I expect that offense to be high flying. I expect those guys to be up and down the field. They want to play that up tempo type offense, score a bunch of points. But Deion is known for defense, so I'm expecting that defense to be just like a very, very like an opportunistic type defense, going to keep pressure on the offense. But the thing about it is I want to see how many times they're going to put the camera on Prime. When you got a coach like that, they're going to be showing him on the sideline, BJ. It is going to be weird to see, because everybody's thinking, oh, Deion, he's going to be the next head coach of Florida State. Deion don't want to deal with that type of scrutiny. Deion want to be able to go out there, be himself. I want to see what that theatrics going to be, because you know how in the NFL, BJ, they got arrivals. You see guys, they're getting off the bus, they're getting off the plane, they're walking into the stadium. If they do arrivals for Deion, well, let me say this. Even if they don't do arrivals for Deion, he got his own camera people, so that he gonna do something, because it's his debut. I want to see, can he start off 1-0, BJ? Because the haters out there, the trolls, they can't wait. So if he doesn't have a good debut, which is only week 1, they're going. But I think it's great for college football. I think that when you think about how can a guy like Deion Sanders use this platform, use his influence, because he still worked for Barstools, obviously the best cornerback to ever play the game. People ask, what can I do to resonate with today's generation? Go to Jackson State. For those who don't know about Jackson State, if you ever heard of a guy named Walter Payton, that's where he went. So and kind of sticking with that HBCU tradition to have some of the best players coming out of Mississippi Valley State with Jerry Rice, Texas Southern with Michael Strahan. So you've had some great players.
Shannon Sharp.
Absolutely. Shannon Sharp, Savannah State. I think that when you look at what he can do for the overall, makeup of HBCU, or, everybody having all their eyes on them, it's only going to help. So I'm looking forward to seeing those guys. And BJ, he already going through the color scheme. He was sitting there, Deion laid it all out. I think that's why you love it, because like I always tell you, BJ, I don't get caught up in the P5, G5. I don't do that, because some of the best players I've ever played against or grew up rooting for played at the FCS level, and there is no slighting. You are one of the elite few and select few who get a chance to continue your collegiate career, your athletic career. So I'm looking forward to all of it. But shout out to the SoCon, though, because this is their moment. Just like everybody else had their moment, the SoCon is going to show you why. If you haven't been watching, you have been doing yourself a disservice, because they got some big-time football starting tomorrow.
Yeah, happy for Deion, happy for Jackson State. Excited to see that program, and as you mentioned, such an incredibly great legacy at HBCUs, around the country. To be able to see, Deion take over Jackson State, a program that already has incredible history. Really excited to see what happens there. And then you mentioned the Southern Conference. The Southern Conference is a league that basically was the starting point for much of what you see in the SEC and the ACC. Alabama and Georgia Tech and Tennessee and Georgia Southern, of course, right down the road. All these programs are part of the Southern Conference. And you have some not only really great programs, national championship contenders in the league, Ben. What I like a lot is you have a number of local student athletes that are on these rosters. I did a quick check earlier in the show, and if I'm missing anybody, my apologies, but you have Dwayne Ruff from Calvary Day at ETSU, Michael Campbell from Mercer of Mercer from McIntosh County Academy, Harrison Poole at Mercer from Camden, Denijah Gamage at Mercer from Brunswick High, Byron Bacon at Mercer from Glen Academy, Ken Stanley at Mercer from Ware, Bailey Clark and Luke Barlow at Mercer from Benedictine, Mac Johnson at Mercer from Ware, Jordan Swain at Mercer from Glen Academy, KJ Milner at Western Carolina from Bradwell, Travis Blackshear at Furman from Benedictine, Javante Middleton at the Citadel from Jenkins, Logan Brott at the Citadel from Ware. You have the 912 extremely well represented in these SoCon programs. So not only a chance to check out some great football, not only a chance to maybe see some football you might not otherwise necessarily see. These games are going to be on ESPN Plus, but a chance to see more continued success from the incredible crop of student athletes we've had come out of the 912.
I mean, as they say, BJ, there is no brand without a brand ambassador. You talk about the 912, they everywhere. And I know, BJ, we love the 912 around here, being able to say it. And I think, to me, that's the great thing about going to these schools. It's not always about who goes here and who goes there. We forget about, you go to a national signing day, the reason why the table is getting extended, because you got guys going everywhere. And I'm happy for the SoCon having their own, they're having their own spotlight, because the thing is, it's hard to get anybody to be patient with anything these days, and to go through the pandemic during 2020, and some teams did kind of play some games, some teams didn't. To be able to have their full like in-conference schedule, I think it's going to be great. Shout out to Javante Middleton, man. I mean, moving from the offensive side of the ball to the defensive side of the ball, sticking with it, because that workload is different. I'm looking forward to seeing those guys go out there and do it. And the thing is, the notion of, if you're good, they will find you. You will see what they're talking about, because sometimes, BJ, everybody think, oh, I can do this and I can do that. Watch how those boys get to moving around this weekend. Going to be some good football, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, you talk about some of these FCS programs. You mentioned a number of Hall of Famers of the great programs that are HBCUs. We've seen Hall of Famers, stars, some of the first reference names you think about when you talk about football history have come from the HBCU ranks, and same with the SoCon in terms of guys that have had success there and have moved on. You're talking Randy Moss played in the SoCon, Adrian Peterson played in the SoCon, Armani Edwards played in the SoCon, so this is great football we're going to have a chance to watch over the next couple of weeks. And I'm with you, man. Yes, everybody, look, the SEC, that's great. That's fun to watch, incredible storylines there, but the stories at the FCS level, the Division II level, et cetera, are as compelling, if not more compelling sometimes. And I think we're really fortunate to have some football here this month. Really a great opportunity for these student athletes to, in a safe environment, hopefully as safe as possible, get out there, get after it. And how anxious, Ben? I mean, if you haven't played, normally every offseason is long and grueling and you can't wait to get out there. Then you have to sit out the fall. How ready to go are these guys?
Oh, it can't come quick enough. And the world is waiting. That's the thing too, BJ. When you talk about the HBCUs, we don't talk about it enough. And I'm not getting political, but the vice president, Kamala, she went to Howard, the Howard Bison. So this HBCU, it just goes. Darius Leonard, the premier linebacker in the NFL, South Carolina State. Y'all better act like Antoine Bethea. I'm just saying, you got some guys that really, really contribute a lot to this great game of football. But I'm so happy for those guys because it's one thing, BJ, to get ready for a game. It's another thing when your coach goes, oh, the world will be watching. I know it's like ESPN 1, 2, 3, 4, 25, ESPN. It's going to be ESPNU. They're going to dominate, they're going to dominate the TV, this weekend, and rightfully so. But I'm just happy to see a guy, BJ. You're looking at the screen. I'm looking at for a certain guy. Another guy jumps out there like, who is this dude? So they're going to get a chance to have, their spotlight, and I'm happy for everybody involved. But once again, can't say this enough. Shout out to the medical staff. Shout out to, the frontline workers. Without the medical staff and the frontline workers, because they had to take it from one to even make it to this season. They had to make it to a pandemic-stricken season without football. Because you haven't been hearing about a lot of positive tests. So shout out to all the medical staff involved. We are indebted to you guys, not just for what you do for college football, but what you do in general. So we appreciate y'all.
Oh, it's a great point. And to be able to make sports a possibility, to be able to make so much of what we're, able to do, even in these very unique and difficult times. I went to the doctor the other day. It had been a while since I'd been out and about, and just to see the precautions that are put in place, to see the care and the concern is, really uplifting during these difficult times. But yeah, in terms of local programs, Savannah State, a couple of weeks out. They'll be in Mobile. And then you think about tomorrow, right up the road, you'll have the Citadel getting after it. Right down the road, you'll have Mercer getting after it. So college football is here. Let's appreciate it. Let's enjoy it. Let's root these young student athletes on, these programs on, and that should be a lot of fun. And yeah, prime on Sunday, baby. It's going to be nice, and some games on Saturday as well. Coming up later this hour, we'll chat with the legend, DJ Shockley. Will get his perspective on spring ball, but some of these quarterbacks getting ready for the NFL draft. When we come back, though, we have to finish our mock draft. Ben, you and we'll let Cody jump in there.
Let Cody come in third. Just keep it. Look at Cody like, yeah.
And we'll run through. Oh, dude, he's got a notebook. I mean, he's sitting there going, yeah, I'll do it. He's got a notebook. We'll come back. We'll hit our mock draft. We'll finish it.
3-round mock draft. This just got done doing a 3-rounder.
No, we're staying away from the 3-rounders. We're not emotionally ready for that. We'll come back and finish the first round. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. What is up? 3 and Out on a Friday afternoon. BJ Bennett, Ben Troop alongside. Coming up in about 10 minutes or so, we'll chat with the great DJ Shockley, former Georgia star, now with the SEC Network, and we'll get his thoughts on some spring ball, but evaluating these quarterbacks ahead of the NFL draft. You have a lot of momentum around Zach Wilson, maybe some folks kind of cooling a little bit on Justin Fields, so we'll get some perspective on that from DJ Shockley. But we've been updating, going through our mock draft 2.0 here on the show. We did 10 picks in hour 1, 10 picks in hour 2. And I'll just tell you the names that are off the board, guys. Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Jamar Chase, Penei Sewell, Rashawn Slater, Zach Wilson, Devonta Smith, Trey Lance, Kyle Pitts, Patrick Surtain, Jalen Waddle, Gregory Rousseau, Christian Darrisaw, Christian Barmore, Mac Jones, Caleb Farley, Micah Parsons, Travis Etienne, Trey Smith, Rashad Bateman have all been selected. I believe it was Kevin with the Falcons who had that chance, and he took Penei Sewell out of Oregon. Trevor Lawrence to Clemson. I wasn't technically allowed to pick it, but it happened, so deal with it. But, Cody, you're on the clock. You are the GM of the Indianapolis Colts. You got your quarterback. With who's left on the board, where are you leaning?
Well, you got a quarterback who's made out of paper mache. If you hit him, like I said the other day, if they hit you, same thing, BJ. Your arms kind of fall off like a Lego character. So, he's known to get hurt. You need to protect him more. You got a big old dude out there, 315 pounds, 6'4", Wyatt Davis from Ohio State. Go ahead and get him. Lock him up next to Quentin Nelson. Make that offense line even better. He's got a good defense, so you don't have to really worry about that over there. You have good enough wide receivers. It's a very deep draft. You can get another wide receiver in the second round. I'm going Wyatt Davis, Ohio State.
All right, Ben, as fate would have it, you get to pick for the Tennessee Titans.
Oh, man. So I know everybody was thinking, like, where am I going to go? I mean, I like what Mike Vrabel is doing. You know what you got on offense. Ryan Tannehill, he got $65 million guaranteed to, hand the ball off to Derrick Henry. But, no, I think they got a young nucleus. I mean, they got, two-headed tight end. We're going to see what we do with Corey Davis at the receiver position. Do we bring him back? A.J. Brown is one of the best. But me, BJ, got to have a pass rusher. And that's the thing about that defense that scares me. They got to have so for me, there's a young man by the name of Azeez Ojulari out of Georgia. We're going to take Azeez Ojulari, a guy that can play with his hand in the dirt and also, play the outside linebacker position. So for me, give me Azeez Ojulari, outside linebacker, Georgia.
So the first Georgia Bulldog off the board. I had the Jets back in the first round with the number 2 overall pick. I took Justin Fields, the quarterback out of Ohio State. If you're going to have a quarterback, you better get you another playmaker as well. So, Ben, this is for you. I need a guy that can make plays in space. I need a guy that can shake and bake. Pair him with Justin Fields. Give me Kadarius Toney out of Florida to the Jets at 23.
BJ, listen, it's okay, man. We know who you root for in college, but your grandmother, that's where you came from. So, yeah, I'm about to say, I ain't want to have to get all the Florida guys. I ain't want to be too biased. But, yeah, that's a good pick. So he can deal with the cold. Deal with the cold. Okay.
Yeah. Cody, you're up with the Steelers.
Steelers need some corner help. Is Jace Horn still out there?
J.C. Horn, yeah, he's out there.
Yep, going J.C. Horn. Give him to me, to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're still going to rock with the old man. Going J.C. Horn.
All right. J.C. Horn to pair with Joe Hayden, I think, going into like year 12 or something like that. So I like that. BJ. Now, wouldn't it? Now, okay, I get to pick for my Titans, and I get to pick for your Jags. Now,
yeah, don't mess this up.
I'm not going. Listen, this is my thing. Trevor Lawrence is going to have him and 10 other him and 9 other draft picks. They got $100 million in free agency. They're going to be able to get some guys. But the linebacker position has been restored, people. The linebacker position, you want a guy that can run sideline to sideline and he can cover. So for me, it's a young man by the name of Nick Bolton out of Mizzou to pair along with Miles Jack. Those boys going to be there for a long. So give me Nick Bolton, heat-seeking missile out of Mizzou.
They call him Nick Boom. I'm telling you, he's coming to Jacksonville. I like it. I like it. I mean, I don't know why I'm liking it because I'm the GM of the Cleveland Browns. But no, all right, I'm up here at 26 with the Browns, and I'm thinking kind of like you. I need speed. I need versatility. I need to be able to counter these wide open offenses. Give me the versatile linebacker out of Notre Dame, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, to pair with some of the young guys. I already have. And, Cody, that means you're on the clock with the Baltimore Ravens.
Oh, man. Baltimore Ravens need a few pieces. Wouldn't mind having a tight end. Wouldn't mind having an edge rusher. Ooh, this is a hard one. I'm going to have to go Rozier from Miami. Bring him down there. Bring him up there to Baltimore. Going Gregory Rozier. Rozier? Is that how you say his name?
Gregory Rousseau's gone. Gregory Rousseau's gone.
He's
gone?
He's
Oh,
gone.
my gosh. All right, hang on. Let's start revising my draft board.
Yeah, you weren't part of the first two rounds. Gregory Rousseau went 12th overall to the San Francisco 49ers.
We're going to go Pat Freiermuth from Penn State, tight end.
All right, you got PJ's guy, the tight end.
Yep.
Oh, baby Gronk. Whatever. All right, BJ.
Hey, Peter over here.
All right, BJ.
Tight end, hang on a tight end.
All right. Look. The thing about Drew Brees, BJ, he's old. He's old in the tooth. You know
what's happening here, right, Cody? You know what's
hold
happening.
on. Just
don't you talk.
Hold on. Now, you want to have a guy that gets the ball out, get playmakers around him, get the ball out, dink it, dunk it, boom, boom, boom. I mean, BJ, we're talking about a guy for which was a Heisman Trophy finalist. What was he not? A guy that takes coaching well from his head coach. A guy that wasn't even supposed to be playing because he went from the second to the third, jump over a guy. So for me, the Saints, they need a quarterback. They need a guy that can deal with the pressure. I think it's got to be Kyle Trask, quarterback out of Florida. What?
In America, there it is. Kyle Trask is off the board.
Well, yep. I think it's and he can see over the offensive line. He's not 6 feet like Drew Brees is.
That's the third Florida Gator going in the first round of our
I only picked two of them. I only picked two. I'm not biased.
2.0. All right, I'm up with Green Bay, and when you're a good team, you can take best player available sometimes. Now, I know you could say, come on, man, please get Aaron Rodgers a first-round wide receiver, and Rondale Moore is out there, some other guys. But I'm looking around going, Kwity Paye has not been drafted yet. He's got like a top 10, top 15 grade. I can play him at tackle. I can play him at end. I can kind of shape him around, move him around a little bit. So I like the value. Give me Kwity Paye out of Michigan. Those cold weather guys got to stay in the cold weather.
They got old boy out of Michigan not too many years ago. The other D lineman. Oh man, I can't think his name.
Look, man, I wasn't the general manager then. I'm not responsible for the picks from a couple of years ago.
All right.
But look, you got to give me Kwity Paye. I'm taking the value there with Green Bay.
That's a nice name, Kwity Paye. All right, Cody, you up with them Buffalo boys?
Oh man, they need a few actually pieces on defense. They could use a CB. They can use some edge help. Man, but I'm gonna have to go with the big dude, Trey Smith, Tennessee.
Oh, well, he's already.
Nope.
See, I should have been here for the first few rounds.
He's gone.
What
Trey
about
Smith
Tucker from USC?
Yeah, you got him.
Who we got from USC?
Elijah Vera Tucker.
Yep, there we go. Man, see, my dang GM didn't leave me no notes or no nothing. He just left me.
All right, BJ, when you talk about these Chiefs, the one thing I noticed in the Super Bowl that the Tampa Bay Bucks was doing, they was getting to the quarterback with their D-line. They could just rush forward. I like Frank Clark. Frank Clark can't do it by himself. I gave Joey Bosa a DN from the U on the other side. I might as well give Frank Clark a DN from the U. So 31 overall pick. Give me Jalen Phillips. I mean, he's 6'5", 266 out of the U. So the U putting 2 in the first round from yours truly. Give me Jalen Phillips from the U.
All right, I like that pick. Now, if you can do it, I don't want to hear anything. All right, you think about you think about the Bucks. All right, now the Bucks are great up front. The Bucs are loaded offensively. The O-line is nice. I mean, linebackers all over the place. You could use a little DB help. You could use some corner help. You got a guy whose dad was that dude.
So you finna add another junior to this defense?
Look, man, you got a guy who played great at Florida State. Give me Asante Samuel to round out the first round, staying at home in the state of Florida, going to the Bucs.
Hey, okay, Asante Samuel, Junior. So basically, what y'all just saw was this. BJ was like, I mean, I know Florida State people listen to the show, and they be like, well, dang, BJ, you drafted dude from Florida, Kadarius Toney. I mean, Ben drafted two guys. He got Kyle Trask and Kyle Pitts. You gave him Kadarius Toney. But yeah, Asante Samuel's a guy, BJ, that's had to go through the rough years, still managed to go out there and be really, really good on a bad. I always credit players. Good players on bad teams. That, to me, that says a lot about the mindset.
All right, Cody, before we talk to DJ Shockley, is there any other player who's already been drafted that you want to draft?
I want the Broncos to get Mac Jones.
All right, well, that's not happening. That didn't happen in our mock draft 2.0. We'll see what happens. I'm sure we'll have 3.0 around the horizon at some point. But the great DJ Shockley will join us next. Talk quarterbacks 3 and out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Quarterbacks are in the spotlight as the NFL draft approaches. That is the case every year, and a number of big-time superstars headlining this year's class. And with us now to talk about some of these prospects, one of the great players in Georgia Bulldogs history, SEC championship game MVP in 2005, was first-team All-SEC that year, won a couple of rings with the Dogs, went on to play in the National Football League for the Atlanta Falcons, now a college football analyst for ESPN and the SEC Network. DJ Shockley with us. DJ, good afternoon. How are you?
Hey, good afternoon, fellas. Appreciate you guys having me. All is well. Hope you guys are doing good on this Good Friday.
We absolutely are. Thank you so much for coming on. And look, we're always going to talk about the quarterbacks with the draft. It seems like when you say Trevor Lawrence's name, you know, the distinctions like generational prospect, can't miss prospect, follow. Is that fair with anybody? And kind of what do you see when you see Trevor Lawrence?
Well, I think he absolutely is one of those guys that everybody has looked at over the past 3 years and said he is the prototypical what you want from that position. I think he has shown the ability to play at an elite level, and I think he is, you know, a step above what everybody else, you know, kind of looks at him when he comes into this draft. But to say he's generational, I think time will tell. Because I look at some of the games he played in where he needs to be the best player on the field, and I don't think he was. You think about some of the competition that he's going to see on the next level. It's going to be similar to what he saw last year when, obviously, this year when he played against Alabama, he played against Ohio State. When he played in some of these big time moments, I don't think he showed up in those games as best as he could. Now you face Justin Fields in Ohio State, and like Justin Fields was the number one player that should be coming out this year. What we saw last year when he was beat up a little bit in that championship game, he wasn't the best player on the field that game as well either. He has to show in those moments against those caliber of teams that he can be the most elite player on the field. And I think that's why there's still a little bit of question mark of how will he be if he gets against the best competition. Now, he's played against some really good competition and played well, but in those big moments, in those big games, in those playoff games, there were situations, there were times where you said, maybe Trevor Lawrence isn't the guy that you thought he was, but he's absolutely the number one pick. But there's still some question marks about him in those big time moments, in those big games versus those quality opponents.
And DJ, even sticking with Trevor Lawrence, how much is it less about Trevor Lawrence and more about the narratives? Like I do agree. We want to throw out words like generational based off the fact that he did live up to the hype, and we've known him since he was 14 years old. But as you mentioned, Justin Fields has been just as good, shared the field with him and outplayed him. Joe Burrow shared the field with him, outplayed him. And when you look at the guys he's paired with, you get to get more variety, not just looking at one guy with the Lance, with the Jones, with the Trash, with the Fields. What is it about the fact that we get to add guys to around him and not just looking at Trevor Lawrence as the end-all, be-all?
Yeah, I think that's a big one because you look at what's been around him for a long time, and obviously this is what comes with every major school like a Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State, Florida, whatever it may be. You're going to have a first-round back. You're going to have a 2 or 3 big-time receivers. You're going to have guys who can make plays on those 50-50 balls. You look at a guy like Trey Lance over at North Dakota State, had a chance to see him play a couple times. His dudes weren't winning all the time. They weren't always creating a separation. They weren't running by guys like we saw in the Clemson and Ohio State game. He had to do a little bit more. He had to be the guy that was a little bit extra in that ball zone. I know the guy who's training Trey Lance right now, and he tells me at times they gave him half of the playbook. They gave him half of a play coming in, and he had to put everything else to it and get those guys in positions to win. When you look at guys like Trevor Lawrence, yeah, he's a talent. Can't take that away from him. He will be elite, has been elite, like you mentioned. We've seen him since he's 14, but he's had very good players around him that have helped him. When he gets to the next level, everybody on the other side is going to be just as good. Now, what can he do to separate himself? Now, these other guys, they've had the same kind of things coming up as far as the teams they played on. But Trevor Lawrence has been a guy that you look at for the past 3-4 years. He's had exceptional talent around him, which has helped him.
BJ Bennett, Ben Troop here with DJ Shockley, SEC Network. And you mentioned Justin Fields. Seems like not long ago, or was the case not long ago, almost every mock draft had Fields going number 2 after Lawrence. And there was even some conjecture about could he be the number 1 overall pick? And I know he didn't play great against Indiana and didn't play great in the Big Ten championship game, but did have, 6 passing touchdowns against Clemson, still completed over 70% of his passes this year. Some of the mocks have cooled on Justin Fields. Do you think that's a real reflection of what's actually going on? And if that is, do you think that's fair?
To be honest, I don't think people are really that cool on him. I think early in this process, as we all know, everybody nitpick every single little thing. Just like, I found a couple things to nitpick about Trevor Lawrence, who is, we know, the number 1 overall pick and has done everything that is asked of him. But throughout this process, there are going to be times where these coaches, these teams, these organizations, these mock guru guys are going to go through the film and they're going to nitpick every single thing fundamentally, whether it's mentally or physically. They're going to find something that says, well, maybe he is not the guy we think he is. But don't get me wrong. Justin Fields is that guy. The dude is smart. He's big. He's talented. He's very intellectual. He understands what's going on the other side of the ball. And those were all 22 guys out on the field. And you mentioned the 2 struggles in those games. Yeah, I think he was trying to do a little much. I think the pressure was on him. I think during that time, the hype or the talk about him not being in the Heisman race, I think ultimately got to him. Now, I don't know this personally, but coming into the season, he was that guy. Like you mentioned, he's the guy that people thought could be taking the number 1 pick away from Trevor Lawrence. And I think he tried to kind of push it a little bit, and ultimately he kind of played kind of his worst 2 ball games there. But I think Justin Fields absolutely will be in that top 10, if not the top 5. You think about some of these teams now that are going to need quarterbacks. You saw what just happened in Philadelphia with Carson Wentz. Now they're going to need a quarterback. They're sitting there at 6. You got Carolina right there at 8, who they just tried to get rid of Teddy Bridgewater for Matthew Stafford. So there is the market for a quarterback. So these teams, as it gets closer to the draft, they're going to want that quarterback. And Justin Fields fits that mold of what's going on these days, where you need somebody when things break down, he can make some plays for you and still be accurate throwing the football.
And DJ, even sticking with that, I mean, when you think about the quarterback that's coming out now, obviously if you drafted in the top 10, your team as a whole didn't do well the previous year. How much do you think it stunts a player's growth when you talk about a guy like Justin Fields, who's built to improvise, to make a offensive coordinator look good because he might call a play that might be a bad call? I can use my legs compared to a guy like a Mac Jones, for which it has to be the right play because he don't got a lot of improvising outside of the pocket. Do you think you got to have a guy that can kind of improvise until the game slows down for him?
Oh, absolutely. I think we saw that kind of both ways work in the Super Bowl. I mean, we know how good Tom Brady is, but there's times where he still had to move a little bit here and there off the pocket, and he found ways to be good. But then there's also the other side of it with Patrick Mahomes where, hey, sometimes your ball club, you may lose some guys up front. You may lose a couple tackles. You may lose a center, guard, whatever it may be. If your quarterback is not able to move, he's going to be a sitting target sitting in that pocket. And I thought this year was a direct result of you looking at some of these pass rushers, you're looking at some of these defenses where the premium next to quarterback now seems like is, can I get a defensive end? Can I get a pass rusher that can get to the quarterback? And I think that's the number one thing that teams are looking at these days is how can we affect the quarterback? And if you have a guy who can move around, and even if you beat that tackle off the line of scrimmage, he has a clear shot, and you got a guy like Deshaun Watson back there who can make a guy miss if he sees you, that goes a very long way. That's why a lot of people are so excited to see what happens with Deshaun because of his ability when things break down. I think Justin Fields fits that mold just as much as Deshaun Watson has done in Houston for all these years. So it's going to be exciting to see where he lands. But you're absolutely right. He needs to be in the right position so that his growth is not stunted and he has a few guys around him that can help him become a better player and become productive.
DJ, in your mind, is Alabama's Mac Jones a guy who can be an NFL starter right away in 2021?
Oh, absolutely. I think this guy I think he graduated in 2.5 years maybe, and then got his master's degree. One thing you know about playing on the next level is if you're not as physically talented as everybody else, like a Peyton Manning or Tom Brady, if you mentally can outsmart your defense, you got a chance to be successful. And I think Mac Jones did a lot of that this year. He wasn't asked to move around a lot. Yeah, he had, Devontae Smith on the outside, but he knew pre-snap where to go to football. He knew because of what certain coverage or what blitz was coming, where the ball was going. And I think that ultimately is the reason why some quarterbacks don't make it, is because they're not able to process that information quickly and then know where to go with the football fast enough to be successful. Mac Jones absolutely has that capability. You can see him go through it throughout the year. I studied him so much this year, and the guy week in and week out was throwing different looks, different pressures, and the guy stood in there and knew exactly where to go to football at all times. And then once he let it go, he was accurate with it. So he's going to be one of those guys you look at 10 years down the road that's still playing, and it's going to be a guy who's going to make tons of money in this league because of his mental capability as well as, the physical tools he has.
And I was a DJ. I mean, Kyle Trask obviously had an incredible season this year. Kind of did it the hard way. Played behind a guy, Felipe Franks, was able to beat out a guy in Emory Jones who was recruited by Dan Mullen, and ended up having an incredible career. He's not getting the same hype as the other guys. If he does go in the first round, he'll be the last guy taken of the group of quarterbacks. But what do you see in Kyle Trask's game that translates to the next level? And how long do you think it will take for him to kind of get that playbook and kind of get out there and become that everyday starter?
Bro, I'll be honest. I am one of the biggest fans of Kyle Trask there will be. And I say that because not of anything he's done physically, but his mentality. I mean, think about it. When he ended up taking over for Felipe, 2 years ago, the dude hadn't played since high school. The dude had an opportunity to showcase what he's about. And like you mentioned, they brought in tons of other guys in Florida, and he was beat out, and he had to wait his turn. And then when he finally got his opportunity, he took off. And I'm not holding that last game against him because I saw what he did from the time he took over for Felipe till being, for a lot of the year, the Heisman frontrunner. And that goes a very long way from me. The mentality that he had to have to come in and compete and not shy away from competition. And then when things didn't go his way, he continued to get better and continue to be the guy that Dan Mullen said, if we need him, we know he's ready. That's going to transfer over so well to the next level, because as a guy who was a backup, you have to be ready for your opportunity. And when you get that chance, he's shown the ability to be able to get that done. So I think he's going to be a guy that's going to have another long career because he's been in positions where he had to struggle, but then he also understands how to study the game, but he also knows when I get my opportunity, let's go and take off. Let's do what we have to do. So I think he's primed for a really good career. But I think what happened to him in Florida ultimately is going to be the reason why he makes tons of money as well.
Awesome perspective from a former All-SEC quarterback, DJ Shockley. You see him on the SEC Network and ESPN. DJ, thanks so much for the time as always.
All right, fellas. Appreciate you guys. You guys have a good weekend.
And great stuff, Ben, from Shock. Do you agree with him that Kyle Trask, had to kind of go through it the hard way? Can you still get your shot in the NFL when maybe you don't have the year's worth of hype like a Lawrence or a Fields?
I think so, BJ. And the thing about it is, you usually resonate with the guys who have a similar story to you. And when DJ said I was a backup too, I had to be ready. I played behind a guy he played behind a guy like David Green. When you look at and then the thing about DJ is he knows the quarterback position. DJ was, two-time SEC champions, SEC game MVP. So I think when you look at a guy like Kyle Trask, BJ, that's the kind of guy you want. Because think about it. Nothing got to be handed to him. I don't got to be the starter. I'm going to be a great teammate. I'm going to learn the playbook. And when my number is called, real simple, and I'm just saying from a standpoint of what he did, when my number is called, I'm not going to leave the game anymore because I'm going to be the starter from then on out.
Ben will give you navigational tips if you're out in the forest when we come back and put a wrap on it next. 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. I mean, I understand we have people who listen on radio only and aren't a part of the kind of digital transaction who might hear me talk about the hat and Ben being a park ranger and kind of not get it, but you got to check it out. I mean, the hat, I just see it because I'm looking at you. Obviously, you and I are social distancing, so we're broadcasting through video over radio. So I see you, and every time I look at you, I just think, hey, make sure you pick up your trash in the picnic area.
Yep.
The gates lock at 7:30.
Yep.
Or drop down and give me 25 because you're at boot camp. Like that's I can't stop thinking that.
I asked. I did a little video call with my sister the other day, and when my niece saw me, I said, Jamie, what you think when you see Uncle Ben? And she goes, stop, drop, and roll. I said, look. So at the end of the day, BJ, like I'm gonna get you this hat, and I am appreciating Cody's hat. Cody is a avid hat wearer as well, but Cody is using mock drafts as dating as like dating to help date. I'm loving it. Yes.
Yeah, I have no comment on the Cody thing, by the way, but yes, make sure if you have your Swiss Army knife that you put the toothpick back in the side. All right, you got to put it back in there. That's vitally important. But listen, high school basketball coming up in our Savannah market. Kevin Thomas and Christian Gokel had to get out a little bit early for that. Beach and Johnson coming up in just a bit, so that should be a lot of fun. I want to thank DJ Shockley for joining us on the show today. Joe Tessitore joining us on the show today as well, so a lot of fun. Hey, let's be smart. Let's be safe this weekend. Continue to make good decisions. And we'll be back here with you on Monday, 3 and Out, all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. We are streaming live on the web, ESPNcoastal.com. And all this wizardry, Ben. We're on YouTube. We're on Spotify. We're on podcasts. You can find us. We're out there. We'll see you on Monday, 3 and Out.